Hi you guys, welcome back to my channel. And today, if you guys didn't guess from my last channel, we will be talking about Shrek 2. Now Shrek 2 is one of the best sequels, and um it actually gets funnier in this movie because there's the extra sidekick named Puss. Okay, so let me just jump right into it. So basically, how it starts off is like how it started off in the first movie, but instead of Shrek telling it, the prince tells it, the prince that she was supposed to marry. If it wasn't for Shrek coming to rescue her, it was supposed to be the prince. Okay, so it starts off with them coming home from their honeymoon, and um, when they when Shrek tells Donkey to leave, Shrek um Shrek begins to kiss Fiona again, and then he comes back and he says, I know you want to be alone, but what am I supposed to say to these other guys?" And then when Shrek opens the door, there's this whole band, and and this announcer says that they're invited to this engagement party that the king and queen are gonna have for Fiona to celebrate her marriage. Okay, so when they get to the castle, it's very funny and very shocking when they first come out of the carriage because, Fiona was supposed to marry a prince to get the spell broken, yada yada. But she married Shrek instead. So when they see her, they be like, "Is this really our daughter?" And then you can just see them walking up, just saying how much they don't want to do this, especially the king and queen were saying it too. So when they get to when they get to the dinner table and they're having dinner, everything is like going really awkward. So they the the part that is really, 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 really sad to me is like at the dinner scene. You can tell that Shrek was trying to like make a good impression on the father, but the father just pressed his buttons. I'm sorry. I know I'm supposed to be on the king and queen side, but I'm sorry. The father just pressed my buttons. Especially when they just started talking about um where they live, and he said a swamp, and he was trying to make it all nice, but then Eddie Murphy ruined it by saying, "I know you're not talking about the I know you're not talking about the swamp." And so um the queen said that will be a fine place to raise the children. And then after Shrek heard children, he just threw up that fork, which I thought was really embarrassing because it spit like just flew across the table with the fork. So, um, yeah, he said, yeah, I really don't feel comfortable with having this conversation with, that's what the king said. He said, "This conversation is really awkward for me. Apparently, especially when I just started eating, and it's like very, very early in the conversation for this." So I really think that the father was wrong to say that to him, because if he didn't say that to him, he would have made a good impression. I mean, he was trying. I gotta give it to him. I gotta give it to you, man. So, after dinner, um, Fiona goes and cry because she she knows that her father doesn't approve of the man that she is marrying, and she just had a fight with Shrek saying, I'm she just had a she just had a fight with Shrek saying, I made changes for you, Shrek, and you should try to get along with my father. So, after this fight, she goes crying in her room on her balcony, and in pops in the fairy godmother, which I think is really odd, but it's really creative. But it's really odd to me because they never mentioned the fairy godmother in the first one. But I guess they just had to pop the characters in there, which I don't mind it. So, the fairy godmother, um, the fairy godmother gets her all this stuff and gets her a puppy and a magic mirror and lot of stuff. I can't even go through the song right now. So anyway, after after the song is over, Shrek pops in saying we're leaving, and Fiona just gets really mad at him, and she just leaves to go sleep in another room. Okay, so um. So after this it's the next morning and Shrek gets up because he can't sleep, and so um he's looking around her room and he pops up this little chest that she had when she was a little girl, and he does one of the things that you should never do to a girl. You should never read a girl's diary, even if it's a cartoon. Don't do it. Okay, so he reads in the diary about how she used to dream of marrying a prince and living happily ever after. So he goes to the fairy godmother to turn himself into a prince, and and Fiona goes looking for him and she finds that her diary has been opened. So when she finds out her diary's been opened, she goes downstairs where the mother and father are preparing for the ball, and they're setting things up and they're picking out a dress. And the father has hired a hitman. Well, in this case, a hit cat named Puss to kill Shrek. Okay, so um, so to sum it all up, the fairy godmother had the prince, the one that was introducing the story at the beginning of the movie. So she had the prince's son that she that she um that she sets up with Fiona, but Fiona thinks he's Shrek because Shrek took this magic potion that made him turn into a prince. And and here's the twist on it. It turned Fiona back into a princess. But I don't see how because Fiona didn't drink the potion. Only Shrek drank the potion. But it says on the bottle how like they can both transform at the same time. So anyway, at the end of the movie, Fiona decides that all she wanted was Shrek, and you find out that the dad was given this gift to turn human by the fairy godmother herself to marry the queen, and it turned out that he was actually a frog. So he turned back into a frog. Fiona turns back into an ogre, and they get the dad's blessing. Now, that was a pretty good ending, especially with the dance ball scene at the end, which is really compared like to the end of the first movie. They did really good with that scene, especially with Puss and Donkey. And Puss is like one of the most iconic, funniest like animal sidekicks that I have ever seen in DreamWorks, especially with his sad eyes. Like, how can you say no to the sad eyes? Okay, so that basically sums it up. Do me a favor, leave me a comment and say which character was your favorite from the Shrek 2 movie. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!